Before 6 p.m. today, there is one thing you should eat before dinner. Not a supplement, not a powder, not a prescription, a raw cucumber. Not because it is a salad ingredient, not because it is low in calories, but because raw cucumber, eaten intact with its skin, before your evening meal, functions inside your digestive tract in a way that most people have never been told about. It acts as a biological metabolic net, a physical structure that positions itself at the base of your stomach and intercepts glucose before it ever reaches your bloodstream. If you are over 60 and you are managing type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, you know the frustration of post-dinner blood sugar. You eat a careful, measured meal. You did everything right. And 2 hours later, your glucose monitor reflects a number that does not match the effort you put in. That post-dinner spike is one of the most metabolically damaging events that repeats itself in your body every single day. Over time, those repeated spikes accelerate the decline of your beta cells, the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas, and deepen the cycle of insulin resistance that makes type 2 diabetes progressively harder to manage. The cucumber habit we are going to discuss today targets that spike directly. It is inexpensive, it requires no cooking, and the science behind why it works is specific, documented, and worth understanding completely. Because when you understand why something works, not just that it works, you actually do it consistently. And consistency is the only thing that moves your A1C numbers over time. Let us begin with the part of the cucumber that most people discard. The skin. Most people peel their cucumbers, they remove the skin before slicing, and in doing so, they remove the most metabolically active component of the entire vegetable. Here is what cucumber skin actually contains and why it matters specifically for blood sugar management in adults over 60. The outer skin of a raw cucumber is dense with insoluble and soluble fiber complexes. Not just fiber in the general nutritional sense, but a specific class of plant cell wall compounds, including pectin-adjacent polysaccharides and lignocellulosic structures that behave differently from the fiber found in most vegetables. In plain language, and this distinction is important, the fiber in cucumber skin does not simply add bulk. It forms a gel matrix when it comes into contact with water inside your digestive system. That gel matrix physically lines the walls of your stomach and small intestine, creating a semi-permeable barrier between digesting food and the intestinal wall where glucose absorption occurs. Picture a sponge sitting at the base of your stomach. When glucose-containing food is digested and the glucose molecules move toward the intestinal wall to be absorbed into the bloodstream, they have to pass through that gel layer first. The gel does not block absorption entirely, but it dramatically slows the rate of it. And in the context of blood sugar management, rate is everything. A rapid glucose absorption produces a sharp spike. A slow glucose absorption produces a gradual curve. The total amount of glucose absorbed may be similar in both cases. But the curve, the flattened, extended release, is what your aging pancreas can actually manage. It is the difference between a wave that capsizes a boat and a slow tide that lifts it. The second compound in cucumber skin that is rarely discussed in popular health content is plant-based silica. Silica is a trace mineral found in the connective tissues of plants, including the skin of raw cucumber. Inside your body, dietary silica plays a role in maintaining the integrity of your intestinal mucosa, the protective lining of your gut. In adults over 60, that mucosal lining often becomes thinner and less effective at regulating what gets absorbed and what does not. Silica from cucumber skin helps preserve and support that lining. This is not a dramatic overnight effect. It is a cumulative structural benefit that compounds over weeks and months of consistent use. And it is one of the reasons that populations in Mediterranean and East Asian cultures, where raw cucumber with skin is a daily dietary staple, show consistently lower rates of postprandial glucose dysregulation compared to Western populations eating similar caloric loads. So the skin is non-negotiable. When you eat your cucumber before 6 p.m., eat it whole, washed thoroughly, sliced, unpeeled. That skin is the active ingredient. But the timing matters just as much as the preparation. Here is why 6 o'clock is not an arbitrary cutoff. Your body does not treat 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. the same way. Every organ in your body, your liver, your pancreas, your small intestine, your tissue, operates on a 24-hour biological clock called the circadian rhythm. That clock governs not just when you feel sleepy or alert, but when your cells are most responsive to insulin and when they begin to withdraw from active metabolic engagement. For adults over 60 specifically, research published in the journal Diabetes Care has confirmed what many clinicians have observed clinically for years. Insulin sensitivity, your cell's ability to respond to the insulin your pancreas produces, follows a predictable daily arc. It peaks in the mid-morning hours. It begins a measurable decline in the mid-afternoon. And by the time the sun sets, that decline is significant. This means that the exact same meal, the same portion of rice, the same slice of bread, the same bowl of soup, will produce a measurably higher blood sugar spike when eaten at 7 p.m. than it would if eaten at noon. Not because you ate differently, because your biology changed. This circadian insulin decline is more pronounced in adults over 60 than in younger populations, and it is significantly more pronounced in individuals with existing insulin resistance. Your evening hours are your most metabolically vulnerable window of the entire day. Now here is where the timing of the cucumber becomes genuinely strategic. When you eat raw cucumber with its skin intact approximately 20 to 30 minutes before your evening meal, you are doing something very specific. You are preloading your digestive tract with the gel-forming fiber matrix we discussed before the carbohydrate load of dinner ever arrives. Think of it as setting up the net before the fish arrive. Your intestinal wall is already coated. The gel matrix is already in place. The silica is already supporting your mucosal lining. So when your dinner, whatever carbohydrates you consume, begins breaking down and the glucose moves towards your intestinal wall, it encounters a prepared buffered system instead of an unprotected one. The result is a slower, lower, more manageable post-dinner glucose curve during the window when your insulin sensitivity is already declining due to your circadian biology. During the most vulnerable metabolic hours of your day. That is not a coincidence. That is biology working in your favor. When you understand how to work with it, there is one more mechanism that makes cucumber uniquely suited to this pre-dinner role. It has nothing to do with fiber or silica. It has to do with water, but not the kind of water you are thinking about. A raw cucumber is approximately 96% water by weight. But that number, while accurate, significantly undersells what that water actually is. The water inside a cucumber is not free water. It is structured water, water that is bound within a matrix of minerals, electrolytes, and plant compounds including potassium, magnesium, and molybdenum. When this water is released during digestion, it does not behave like a glass of tap water poured into your stomach. It delivers hydration at a cellular level gradually as the fiber matrix around it breaks down. This distinction matters profoundly for three specific organs that adults with type 2 diabetes need to protect vigilantly. The first is the kidneys. Your kidneys are the primary organ responsible for filtering excess glucose from your blood when levels rise above a certain threshold. They work continuously, and in adults over 60 with diabetes, they are already under significant ongoing demand. Chronic mild dehydration, which affects the majority of seniors because the thirst mechanism weakens with age, reduces kidney filtration efficiency directly. Less efficient kidneys means elevated circulating glucose stays in the blood longer before being cleared. When you eat cucumber before 6 p.m., the structured water it releases provides the kidneys with a mineral-rich hydration source during their most active pre-sleep filtration window without overwhelming the urinary system the way consuming a large glass of water before bed often does. This is a meaningful difference for seniors. Drinking 16 ounces of water at 9 p.m. hydrates adequately, but it also means a disrupted sleep cycle as the kidneys process and clear that volume overnight. Fragmented sleep, as research has increasingly confirmed, is itself a significant driver of next morning elevated fasting glucose, primarily through its effect on cortisol and overnight growth hormone release. The cucumber's gradual, mineral-bound water release hydrates the kidneys effectively without triggering that nocturnal urinary burden. It does the work quietly, without interrupting your sleep, without the cortisol cascade that follows a disrupted night. The second organ is the liver. We discussed in a previous video how the liver functions as your overnight glucose management system. When it is well hydrated at a cellular level, particularly with the potassium and magnesium that cucumber-structured water carries, its insulin signaling pathways function more effectively overnight. A better hydrated liver is a more insulin-responsive liver, and a more insulin-responsive liver releases less emergency glucose into your blood between midnight and 6 a.m. The third organ is the pancreas itself. The beta cells of your pancreas that produce insulin are extraordinarily sensitive to cellular dehydration. Adequate mineral hydration helps maintain the aqueous environment those cells need to manufacture and store insulin effectively. When beta cells are even mildly dehydrated, their insulin output becomes less precise. The pulse is less timed, the amounts less calibrated to actual blood glucose levels. One cucumber eaten with its skin before 6 p.m. hydrates all three of these organs in the hours before their most critical overnight work begins, without a single pill, without a single supplement, without waking you up at 2 a.m. That is the full biological case, and it is built on documented peer-reviewed mechanisms, not nutritional folklore. Now, the cucumber is a powerful tool, but no single food, regardless of how well designed by nature, operates in isolation inside your body. The cucumber before 6 p.m. is what I call a keystone habit, a single, simple, inexpensive action that creates downstream benefits across your entire evening metabolic cycle. It lowers your post-dinner spike. It supports your kidney filtration overnight. It maintains your liver's insulin sensitivity while you sleep. It gives your beta cells a better hydration environment for their overnight reset. But a keystone habit only reaches its full potential when it is part of a complete structure. Think of it like a load-bearing pillar in a building. The pillar is essential, but a pillar alone does not make a building. You need the foundation beneath it, the walls around it, the roof above it. The full structure, for adults over 60 managing blood sugar, includes knowing exactly what to eat at dinner to complement the cucumber's fiber, buffer. It includes knowing what the last 2 hours before bed should look like to protect the beta cell rest window. It includes knowing what to eat at breakfast the following morning to sustain the benefits of everything your body accomplished overnight. That complete structure is what the 21-day A1C Reset Guide was built to deliver. It is a large print, senior designed, 21-day framework that maps out exactly what to eat morning, midday, and evening to keep your glucose line flat across the entire day. Not just one meal, the whole day, every day, for 3 weeks. Each day builds on the previous one. Each meal pairing is designed around the same 3 principles we have discussed across this channel: soluble fiber, lean protein, and healthy fat, orchestrated across the day in a sequence that works with your circadian biology instead of against it. The cucumber before 6 p.m. appears in that guide, along with the specific foods to pair it with, the exact portion, the best preparation method for maximum fiber density, and the full explanation of how it integrates into the rest of your evening protocol. If you have been watching this channel for any length of time, you already know that every single recommendation we make is grounded in documented metabolic science, not generic wellness advice designed for a 35-year-old. This guide was built specifically for the biology of adults over 60, for the insulin sensitivity patterns, the circadian shifts, the kidney and liver demands, and the beta cell realities that are unique to your stage of life. The link to access the guide is in the pinned comment directly below this video. Scroll down right now and look for the pinned comment. It is the very first comment below this video. The link to the 21-day A1C Reset Guide is there waiting for you. One click takes you directly to it. Before I close, I want to leave you with one thought. The foods that support your blood sugar best are almost always the ones that require the least processing, the least intervention, and the least expense. I will see you soon. The content presented in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to constitute medical advice, clinical diagnosis, or treatment recommendation of any kind. The mechanisms described regarding fiber, silica, structured water, and circadian insulin sensitivity are based on published research and are presented for educational context. Individual metabolic responses vary significantly. Raw cucumber and other whole foods discussed in this video are not substitutes for prescribed medications or physician-directed diabetes management protocols. Always consult your physician, endocrinologist, or a registered dietitian before making changes to your diet, supplement routine, or blood sugar management plan. Do not discontinue or adjust any prescribed medication based on the content of this video.